Buongiorno, benvenuti a un altro episodio del podcast de Tavallo de Pranzo. And in this episode, we're going to review the Pope's Exorcist, now in theaters. Dylan, why don't we start with your thoughts?
Oh, man. I don't even remember the last Exorcist movie that I watched. This movie honestly made me want to rewatch Preacher. It was just so good, in my opinion.
I know. Yeah.
Russell Crowe, he just gives a phenomenal performance, whatever role he's in. And it's funny, this is like the one like horror movie that it's like it made me like chuckle.
I did
like,
too. I'm not gonna lie.
In between moments, yeah, it's like like I don't know, it's got that like stupid like contemporary like feel to it, but it still works in a way. It's like I'm not laughing because it was stupid. I was laughing because like there were actually like funny jokes in this movie. But yeah, tell me what your thoughts were.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but like when Russell Crowe character Father Gabriel, he says that the demons, they don't like jokes, basically. But like they're the funniest people, and every time they're in movies, because they always say the most random shit, and sometimes
fuck you.
Right? I put a smile on my face. I was like, this.
That's the one F word I gotta use because YouTube's gonna take this down.
right, there you go.
I wasted it. But yeah, it was so funny the way the demons talk.
But it did feel so this movie coming in, I wasn't super scared. There were disturbing elements from it, but it wasn't reliant on jump scares, which I'm thankful for. Usually this type of stuff, there's always jump scares. I think it was more disturbing. There's some little backstory. Father Gabriel was like one of the Pope's exorcists, like the main guy. And he had this particular case, and he had to travel to Spain. And it's at this huge, beautiful home called the Abbey. And what lies dormant, I'm not going to, or maybe we are going to get into spoilers territory anyway, but what lies there, it's where I believe, and I'm not like a Christian person, but like that's where the 200 angels were sent to go underground. And this was one of the spots. So it was like really evil there. So that sounds pretty epic, right? I thought this was going to be a movie where it was very intimate. At moments it was, but then it went full, I'd say, kind of blockbuster mode. And so there was a lot of CGI. I didn't mind it, but whenever that happens in these type of films, I kind of am thrown back out of the experience of being scared, which is fine, but yeah.
Yeah, because then it makes you feel like you're watching like another, not even Conjuring movie, just like another like a horror movie you'd expect like from nowadays, right? Where everything's like so fantastical and just so I don't know, over the top, right? I mean, it did kind of work in this movie. I'm not gonna say it wasn't a bad movie because it wasn't. I kind of liked the beginning where they set up, this whole thing where we get a feel for Father Gabriele Amorth. Mm-hmm. He's like this guy. It's like, well, this is based on true events. There was an actual, exorcist guy with the same name. And he's kind of like I don't want to say like a psychologist in a way. He kind of like gets a feel for what's an actual exorcism, right? Like I love the exploration of like, what is a mental health issue and what is like a spiritual phenomenon, right?
Yes.
I wish they could have pushed that more in this movie, where it's like maybe there's this case that has like bits of both. This movie kind of made me think of this one movie on Netflix. I don't know if anyone's watched. It's called The Wonder with Florence Pugh. And it's this movie about this child that doesn't eat. She's physically healthy, but like she doesn't just eat. And they had to have a nun and a nurse observe her. So I kind of wish that this movie had that kind of like, scientific kind of aspect to it, where it's like we have to observe her from like a secular point of view. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, I thought it was a great film. I thought the actors were great. Daniel Zovatto as Father Thomas. He was awesome as like the kind of like the sidekick priest.
Yeah.
And the family. The family was kind of annoying at first, but then they were kind of, likable as the story progressed. The kid who played Henry, Peter DeSouza, he was, man, his facial expressions were just so on point. He actually like scared me a couple times. I'm not gonna lie. He just had like this kind of Gollum-esque like look, like it's like very like malnourished.
Yeah, he sold it.
Yeah,
the family was I'd say I think they had a purpose of being like that because the beginning, which you took a screenshot, I'm reading the screenshot from the theater that you took. It says, there's a quote and it says, "When we jeer at the devil and tell ourselves that he does not exist, that is when he is happiest." And man, I feel like that is so relevant now, whether you believe or you don't. But I feel like that's really relevant now. I feel like we kind of turn a blind eye on evil and they play with that notion, especially with the Conquisition. It was basically one of the people leading it was actually possessed all this time. So that was like, oh shit! So all the atrocities, it's kind of like a flip, and so that's really interesting. So I feel like with Amy, like the typical. I'd say I forgot when this. Yeah, the typical 1980s type of teenager and which is funny. It's kind of like she's a Western girl because they're from America and they're coming here, so it's like she's saying that type of stuff. I feel like it all blended really well. It's like the West is kind of like turning their eye on God or like the evil, and so like
good point.
They kind of at the end they played on that, and I think it just worked really well. It was really cohesive. So and then plus again Russell Crowe, to have him here. It had to be good, right? It just had to be. I don't think I ever seen him in this type of role before. So it was really cool to see this A-list actor actually. And he had such an authentic, I was going to say Indian accent. He had such an authentic Italian accent. It was so good. And he spoke some Italian earlier, like for long periods of time.
It was really smooth. Yeah, the way he delivered it, really it was like smooth. So natural. Like that's why I tell you, whatever role he's in, he just fucking nails it. He knows how to play a character so good.
He's great.
And it's funny because I think he was actually in that Mummy remake long time. Maybe that's the last thing I might have seen him in actually. But yeah, it feels like I don't see him on big screen anymore. But yeah, he gave it an awesome performance. Just like you like this guy so much. He feels like a very, I don't know, like unorthodox kind of priest, right?
Yeah.
And they play with that notion, like you said, like he's kind of combative with the church, right? Because they've kind of given up on the traditionalist ideals of like with the devil. Like they probably think it's like the idea of the devil, not the actual devil, right? And I like that a lot. He's a very traditionalist, but he knows like the evil is still present in the world and it still has to be combated, right? And I like his relationship with the Pope too. It feels like, I don't know, it feels like something like out of like Assassin's Creed or something. That's just like there's this underground like shadow war with the devil, right? It's just so great.
Oh yeah, I love when I wonder, I don't think they're gonna make a sequel, but at the end it seemed like there's a lot more work to be done, and they had this section in the Vatican where it was like all this memorabilia, and it kind of reminded me of The Conjuring as well.
It was like Shield or something.
Yeah. The Vatican shield, and they have like a map of like where to go. From the Angel's Descents, like there's all over, I guess, the world, right? So I don't really want to see a sequel to this because I feel like then it's gonna be
neither. Yeah,
you know what I mean. But I think it's a solid movie. For me, I probably will forget about this movie a little bit later on. There's some movies that stick with me, especially when it has to do with religion and stuff. It kind of just stays with you because it implants an idea. I like the idea that they have here, but it's just like one of those movies where I feel like, it was in one setting too. It wasn't like all over. It was just in one setting, and it had minimal characters. We only saw like the 4 or 5 people or 6 people. That's it, basically, through the whole movie. So it felt very like small scale somehow, but the CGI was still good. Everything was pretty good, I'd say.
It has everything you'd expect from this type of like exorcism. I mean, we see like what's the trope where like the demon girl climbs the walls and everything.
Oh yeah,
and like the bedridden sick person. But I think it's those interpersonal moments where we see his past and his sins. I think that's what elevates this movie to just beyond a traditional horror movie, because then it feels like a drama. Right, we see like his past. He was like an ex-soldier in like World War II. I thought that was so cool. Yeah, and we even see like, and they don't shy away from like exposing like flaws with the church. Obviously, they address a lot of like things that happen, like sexual abuse and stuff. And that's what I like about this movie, because it doesn't feel like it's justifying like the church in a way. It still is aware of those things, right? It just kind of brings that out of context into this fictional world, right? And I was surprised this was a Sony product too.
Oh, me too. Yeah, when I saw that in the beginning, yeah, I was like, oh, Sony. All right, well, that makes sense though.
I wish they did give that same effort to all their other IP shit. Where was that in Morbius shit?
Oh, true. Yeah, Morbius shows up at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but nonetheless, great movie. And I guess he's the only guy that can make a Vespa look cool.
yeah. Man, that guy has he has charisma, I swear. It's really cool. I would like to actually look up the true story and like the true person.
Yeah, this made me actually want to like look into like what's like the real. I mean, I feel like this is very exaggerated, but maybe there's some truth behind it, and that's what I like about these kinds of movies. It's like it's the scary thing is not the movie itself; it's like what was actually real. Yeah, because it makes you think like, oh, did this actually happen? Is this true to life? Is it still happening now? Because it sounds like he only died recently, like 2016.
Yeah, it's so recent. Oh my
so maybe this is still like his life's work is still being taken over by the church or something. I don't know, but it was cool to think about.
It was really cool to think about. What would you rate this movie?
For me, great movie actually. Probably I give it, if it wasn't for the like CGI elements,
right,
I'd probably give it 10 out of 10. But I think a solid 9 for me.
I think I really do believe that it warrants a solid 9 out of 10 for sure. Yeah, guys, check it out in theaters. But that is our review for the Pope's Exorcist. If you guys like this video, make sure to like this video and also check out our other playlists and stuff like that. We do plenty of reviews if you're new to the channel. But and we also want to thank our 250 subs. I think it's still climbing. Thank you so much. Dylan, why don't you take us away?
Well, buonanotte everybody. Thank you for joining us as always. Thank you for, like Akram said, all our new subscribers for helping us out. You've been great for this month. We have so much content out already, and we're planning ahead for the future. We still have so much we want to show. Akram's working on a lot of projects now, so pump that subscribe button just for him. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and until then, thanks for having lunch with us.
See you guys.